And Joe Pasillo, and Joe Resinello. And once more, let us go into the breach. Joe, let me say something. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., there's a lot I think I could like about him, and I want to play a clip, and then I want to discuss it with you, particularly that this. That didn't make sense. That this. Anyway, it's early in the morning here in Arizona. But what I do applaud him for, because I don't know if I could vote for him. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'll give you my reasons. But one thing I do applaud about him, he is not a hard leftist. That I will say. And on top of it, he is willing to go against his party. He's willing to open his mouth against his party and their enforcement of orthodoxy. Okay, orthodoxy on a number of issues, but particularly on the pandemic. This will be on YouTube, so let's just use the word pandemic. All right, until we could finally free ourselves from those fascists at YouTube. So we'll just call it the pandemic and climate change. Okay, he will be vocal against his party. So I want to play you this clip, Joe Resinello, and then let's come back and have a conversation.
Acted right now. There is a difference between environmentalism and climate change. Where do you stand on all of that? And what types of policies do you support?
The climate issues and pollution issues are being exploited by, the World Economic Forum and Bill Gates and all of these big, mega billionaires, the same way that COVID was exploited. To use it as an excuse to clamp down, top-down totalitarian controls on society, and then to give us engineering solutions. And if you look closely, as it turns out, the guys who are promoting those engineering solutions are the people who own the IPs, the patents for those solutions. Oh, it's a way, it's being used. They've given climate chaos a bad name, because people now see that it's just another crisis that's being used to strip mine the wealth of the poor and to enrich billionaires. And I for 40 years have had the same policy on climate and engineering. You can go check my speeches from the 1980s, and I've said the most important solution for environmental issues is not top-down controls; it's free market capitalism. And what we have in this country now is not free market capitalism, it's corporate crony capitalism. It's cushy kind of socialism for the rich, and a brutal, barbaric, merciless capitalism for the poor.
Now, based on that clip, leaving aside all other issues, okay, obviously those are issues that are important to us, like abortion and all the and transgenderism and all that. Leaving that aside for a moment, because I quite frankly don't know Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s full position on both of those things. Okay, just based on that, I would say I want to know more about this guy, and based on that, I could say that I could see myself voting for him based on what he just said in that minute and a half.
Joe, there's so much to unpack here. One, that's a Democrat saying that, people. Okay? That's a Democrat. Do you realize that he is in lockstep with Alex Jones in that statement? And he's not wearing antennas on his head and wearing the what's it called? The aluminum foil tin hat. That's point number one. Point number two, he's an environmental attorney for years. That's how he makes his living. Decades. He cares about the environment. Let's just be very clear. And he's going against the narrative of the elites across the globe. Why? Because it has nothing to do with the climate. Why they're pushing this. It has everything to do with power. The climate part second. They do believe that. Let me rephrase it. They see this as an opportunity for power. Don't take my words for it. Oh, I'm the crazy one. He's a Democrat and he's saying it. And it's true. This is a power grab. And to his point about capitalism, It's destroying everyone except those at the top. We've
Absolutely.
been saying that on this platform for I don't even know how long.
Right.
He has the courage to say that against his party. Frankly, that's even against the Republican Party. I can't even believe he said that because he will be dismissed as a crazy person. He's not crazy.
Well, he's one of the
Speaking
only
the
ones that
truth.
has he's one of the only ones that has sense, it seems to me, in the Democrat Party.
You see, right
Just
there, let me stop you, Joe. No one wants sense. That's why he has no
well,
chance.
I agree with you. No one wants sense because of what you said, because they want power. And if you speak common sense, and that leads to things that takes away their power, well, then that's a problem for them. But they're doing what they always do, which is, let's take race for example. When they say, well, you and I think we've shown in our lives that we take very seriously that we judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, because we're both married to Haitian Americans who are sisters. Okay, so and that's not just some sort of like empty gesture. I love my wife, you love your wife, because we look at their soul, at their character, and that's why we married them. So we take that seriously. So we say, doesn't that show that, in other words, if I'm willing to spend my life with a woman who has dark skin, do I need to say that I'm not a racist?
No, Joe,
And
you
they
are
say,
right.
well, what they'll say is, well, no,
You
no,
are
I
right.
understand what you're saying, but you don't agree with our solutions to the problems in the black community. Therefore, you're a racist. It's the same thing with this. If you say in a capitalist system that we need to reduce waste, we need to keep emissions low, we want to make sure our environment, that we want to be good stewards of the environment, but we believe that, let's say, there should be companies out there that provide services to other companies in order to affect that. That's called free market capitalism. That's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is talking about. But their attitude is, no, you don't care about the earth, you don't care about people, you don't care about the water and the air, because you don't give us the power we want to impose our solutions on the rest of society, and say, because your solutions suck. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you're just fear mongering for power. Maybe that's the thing. In the meantime, I want an industry in this country, and there is an industry in this country known as the environmental industry. That industry is a group of companies that provides goods and services to other corporations to help them to reduce waste, to help them to reduce emissions, to help them to reduce pollution, to help them to reduce all of it. That's how you take care of the environment. That's how you do that. Not by top-down, as he's saying, top-down control from the government, Joe Rossinello.
And he's spot on. And what they're not saying in this agenda is this, and I'm going to piece a few other things into it. Ultimately, they're not saying truthfully that it is going to hurt you financially. He's saying it, but they're not. But this is their solution, and you're seeing it in Canada now. They're giving a rebate to you. They're throwing you a crumb. That's where you start to hear these conversations like a universal income. We're going to give you just enough. We know that what we're doing is going to hurt you financially, so we're going to give you a crumb just enough to survive, which then makes you a slave. And poor people are easily controlled because I control your check so you can eat, so you will vote for me. That's what they do know in their heart of hearts, that these ideas are going to devastate regular people. And they are. This is not conspiracy. Talk to the farmers in Europe. Talk to people who can't get proper heating in Europe. Talk to people in Canada. 1 in 4 are going to food banks. Oh, Justin's giving you a rebate. Oh, that's great. It doesn't make up the shortfall for what he's doing to you. And that's exactly what they want. Here's your universal income. I know this is going to devastate you. By the way, all these policies have no effect on me because I'm elite and I have tons of money and it doesn't matter. Justin
Right.
Trudeau's worth $85 million. How much are you worth?
Yeah. You
People
want to
can't
know,
connect this, Joe.
Joe,
And
you
it's
know the problem is
happening. It's
No,
happening.
and it's going down. I saw a video. It's and people probably know it's from a few years ago. If you're just joining us here at the front line with Joe and Joe Pasillo, Joe Rossinello, we're way in the breach. Follow us wherever you can, please. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, help us out. I remember a video a few years ago. There's this. I don't want to sound crude, but I'll just for the sake of telling the story. So there's this big fat woman, okay, on a couch opening an envelope with all her little brood around her, all these little kids, okay, and she's white, by the way. Before all the racists out there start calling us racist, I'm describing a white woman now, okay. She's opening an envelope like this. And she's nervous, Joe Rossinello. She's nervous, and she opens. It's her approval letter for welfare with her first check. And she starts going like this, yay! And the little kids are going, yay, mommy, yay. Joe, she is exactly what's wrong with America. She is why those who would throw you universal basic income, who impose environmental restrictions, that woman is the perfect slave. She's happy and joyful, like she just saw Jesus Christ. Okay? Because she got approved for welfare and she got her first check, and all her kids are around her. I tell you that story because the left, those who would impose this on us, those who Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is talking about, he's basically talking about the oligarchs, the elites, the ones who are just going to enrich themselves. He called it crony capitalism. They're just going to get rich. They love that woman and they hate Joe and Joe.
Because ultimately, let me recouch what you're saying, because I could hear criticizing it. There are people who need help, but you should not want to be in that situation forever. And governments have to provide a way out. And if they do not, they're not doing you a service. It's like unemployment. I've been laid off and I have collected unemployment, but then I got another job. If governments are not creating opportunities for people like that woman who does need welfare at that particular time, they're not serving her. They're enslaving
But
her.
Joe, what I'm saying, but that's my point. I get, and I'm with you on that as far as I've
No, but
always said.
people could say you're not being fair.
Right. No, again, I hear you. But you know what, Joe, just as an aside, and I don't mean this for you, I mean this for a lot of people out there. It always seems like we have to qualify our statements. You and I both agree on let's say that you mentioned unemployment. I've been on unemployment in my life. And I do think that there should be a minimal social safety net. That's not the same as slavery. What I was describing in that story was this woman was joyful. That's my point. Not because she was in need. She was just, it was obvious that she was joyful that she doesn't have to go out and get a job like you would do or I would do, getting assistance, let's say, from the government. So, yeah, I know what you're saying. To be clear on that, that was my point, is that woman, okay, I don't know her heart, let me be fair, but it seems to me she was very happy that she didn't have to go out and get a job. She seemed to be very happy she was getting a check from the government. She seemed to be very joyful about that. And that is what I meant by who the oligarchs want. They want to take regular people and instill fear in them. They want to throw them crumbs, as you said, and have them joyful in their slavery. That was my point.
Well, ultimately, I guess to circle back to Kennedy, we have to remember that this is a power grab at the heart of it. I'm telling you this, people, this is not a conspiracy theory, and a Democrat has the courage to say it. He is a Democrat and an environmental lawyer for decades. This is a power grab that's not going to benefit the common man, and they know it. And that's where the universal income comes in, which makes you a slave. If you're okay with that, I don't know where we can go with this conversation. I could just speak for me. I'm not.
Right.
I am not okay with that.
Joe,
And
I want
that
one final
crosses
comment
all
from
political
you.
lines. If you
Joe,
ask me.
I want one final comment from you on this real quick. The line in that little clip that's going to make him more hated in his party than anything else is the solution to this is true, not false or crony. True free market capitalism. That is where we will find our solutions to any environmental problems that we face. Joe, that will make him more than anything else. That one line will really make him public enemy number one for the Democrat Party? Quick comment, Joe.
Well, he has no chance. We said this, we did another clip, and I'm not going to rehash that conversation. He has zero chance. But I'll tell you this, he is a voice, and he is, if you ask me, a respectable man. You don't have to agree with him. You don't even have to vote for him. He's a person who's worked. He's been successful. He's decades. He has worked in the environmental field. He's a partner in a law firm in I believe, Orlando, Florida, Morgan and Morgan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. The fact checkers out there. But my point is, he cares about the environment. He's a Democrat, and he's making a statement, one in which is associated with the alt-right. Should make you think for a moment.
Should make you think. Thanks for joining us in the front line with Joe and Joe. Stay tuned for more.